And live from Dover International Speedway, this is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network with the second race of the racing, wrong series name, of the Red Light Scrambler series here. They're in the Xfinity cars here at Dover for their second race of 15. Max Trail won last week, and we are currently under qualifying. We're about to see who's going to walk away victorious after 100 laps here at Dover. So, as mentioned, we will have 100 laps here at Dover in the Xfinity cars, and this is going to be quite an interesting race as I readjust my microphone here because it felt a little bit loose, unfortunately. But aside from that, though, as per usual, bringing you the camera work and commentary, I should say. I am Gary Weaver, as per usual, and this is going to be quite interesting for this week's race. So, as mentioned, Max Terrio last week came away victorious at Charlotte Moore Speedway for the first race. He's already locked himself into the round of 8, I believe. I may be way incorrect on that. That may be actually the round of 12. Gonna double check on that one. Round of 10, actually. First round, I believe, is actually going to be 12. So, I may be right on that. But either way, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what he can do for the... pretty much the about 2 or so months away from the chase, playoffs, whatever you want to call it. So qualifying is currently underway here at Dover, and it's open qualifying as well, so you have to be pretty careful. Right now we're watching the 954 of Alec Conklin making his laps around. This time by his lap time is actually going to be a 23.660. Nope, scratch that, 23.676. His best lap was a .637, so he's a little bit slower that time around. Other than that, he's doing the best that he can. Kevin O'Brien in the 184, he's going to be working on his first lap. We'll see where he places once he crosses the start-finish line this time around. 16th, so that was his warm-up lap, I believe. And yeah, going by the 42nd time, that was his warm-up lap from pit road. So his pit stall is behind the start-finish line, actually. So we'll see where he actually places here in a few moments. Trying to run the top side as well, trying to let the faster cars go. That time around it was a 25.156, so unfortunately it wasn't too much better. Ooh, a little bit of a scrape off the wall that may invalidate with the 0X. We do have the 903 Tony Strano. That time around, a 24.066 puts him in 15th. Two drivers have yet to qualify for the time being, James Heater and Brendan Minto. Eric Johnson, surprisingly not in the lowest paint scheme this week. But we're going to see what kind of a paint scheme he's running actually here in a few moments. And it's a Budweiser paint scheme. Alright, not too bad. I was worried that was a little bit blank. I was about to say something is incredibly wrong. But luckily everything is just fine. We're going to take a lap around Dover here on board with the 903 of Tony Strano. So you can see how much he's having to lift as well. Going to, well, I was going to say we're going to round board with new pulsar Sean Butler. We'll go with Max Cheria, last week's winner. That time around 23.664, or sorry, 644. And his fastest lap was a .612. All these times are going to be within the 23-second range. Fastest driver so far is Sean Butler with a 23.519. Closest driver to him is Tim Blum with a 23.540. So it's only 0.02 seconds off. This is the last chance for some drivers to make their rounds and put the lap time in. I got some of the drivers that are headed off pit road, which is pretty much everybody. Terrio is one of them. There's Eric Johnson, Richard Murdoch in the 01, 954 of Alec Conklin. Max Terrio's back out. Kyle Souza, I believe he's been running his lap. We'll see. Eric Johnson just decided to go back to pit road, so we'll see what all these drivers place here in a few moments. Richard Murdoch going to be the first of them. Ooh, man, really close off to the outside wall was Conklin there off of turn number 2. Great save. We're going to be seeing that a lot as well throughout this race. Let's see where Murdoch places in his lap time. 0.708. Conklin has a 24.05. And Max Terrio is, I believe, still, no, he actually placed a new lap time, 23.602. Perfect timing as well, as the time has just expired. And this is going to give the final few drivers a chance to finish up their lap times, and I believe Christopher Rothrock is going to be one of them. Fastest lap was 23.8. This time around, 24.0, unfortunately. Leo Bordage finished his lap time. And I think Conklin is trying to make another lap time, but he's not going to have enough time. So that means your starting grid for this race, as it is now officially, well, official, and there's some random overcasts. This is going to be an interesting start. We have Sean Butler on the first place position and the number 88 on the outside. And second place will be Tim Blum in that number 10. Starting third place will... starting third place will be DJ Anderson in the number 51. William Long starts in fourth place in that number 12. Rounding out the top 5 will be the 2 of Joshua Buckley. Last week's winner, Max Terrio, starts 6th. 7th place, Richard Murdoch. 8th place is Alec Conklin. 9th place will be Eric Johnson. 10th place is Jack Ritchie in the 972. Leo Bordage starts in 11th. 12th place will be Christopher Rothrock in the 984. Kyle Souza starts 13th. That's not a lucky number. 14th place will be Ryan Oldani. Now that we have proper pronunciation of his name. I was close with Oldani, I'm sure about that. But aside from that, though, we do have Patrick Orr in the 981. He starts 15th. 16th is going to be Tony Strano. 17th, Kevin O'Brien. 18th is James Heater in the number 18, appropriately. He did not put in the lap time, and neither did Brandon Minto, who starts 19th. 100 laps, estimated 3 hours. Well, maximum by the session at least. By our ATVO scoring, it's about 40 minutes. Without cautions, of course. But Sean Butler did not come away victorious last week. He almost did, but Max Terrio chased him down. So we'll see if Sean Butler can keep up the pace. This is the second week in a row that he's qualified on the pole. So he's definitely got skill. He's got the momentum. He just has to have a little bit more skill and momentum than everyone else on the racetrack, and then he'll be pretty much golden for the playoffs. Pace car getting ready to pull off here in a few moments. Field is in control of Sean Butler. Waiting for the notorious green flag to start this 100 lap event off of turn number 4. Call from the tower. Green flag is out. We are underway, and a great start by that number 10 on the top side. As everything cycles through here for a few moments. As Tim Blum, well, unfortunately off turn number 2, and already many drivers in the wall off turn 2. 954 sideways. Huge crash in turns 3 and 4. Caution already out on lap number 1 after a big accident. My goodness. As you can see, a little bit of an update made to our overlays, but that's not the point here. The point is we have a first caution, and not everybody survived off of turn number 2. We're going to have this a little bit slowed down here. So many drivers hit the wall. 42 of Terrio barely hit it, but the one that really got it was the 954 of Alec Conklin. This is the 972 of Jack Ritchie. He unfortunately couldn't really avoid that in time. They made contact. Top side coming around, I believe that's the 98, 984. That's Christopher Rothrock. The 981 as well. All the rookies involved in this first lap here already. 184 is involved. That is Kevin O'Brien. Many drivers involved in this accident. And we'll get an unofficial count here. 11 through 18. That's about 7 drivers involved. My goodness. Well, the Monster Mile is definitely not showing any favoritism to anybody here off of turn number 2. 984, someone else barely avoided that. I know that. I believe it was the 98. Yeah, he barely avoided that. That's Ryan Oldenay. Get a replay from his onboard in a few moments. And also get a replay from the onboard of Kevin O'Brien. He just arrived way too late, unfortunately. Oh man, he almost had it. If he moved to the right ever so slightly, he would have had it. Multiple drivers in pit road still for the time being. As we were under caution for the first time here on lap 1. Well, we do have 1 lap to green. We'll be going green here in a few moments. Already, unfortunately, 7 drivers, unfortunately and unofficially, out for the time being. James Heater did not start this race, which would make a total of 8 drivers. I think Sean Butler's already saving. Yeah, he's saving his fuel early on. Smart strategy. Green flag about to fly here for the second time. Let's hope everyone can survive off of turn number 2. Green flag back out. Sean Butler back on the loud pedal. Tim Blum trying to stick with him for the time being. It will not work. Let's see if everyone survives off turn 2. Almost. A few scrapes here and there, but for the most part, everyone makes it through. DJ Anderson sporting a, I believe that's a cold triple paint scheme. He's going to be side by side with the 10 of Tim Blum on the inside, trying to get around, or under, I should say, and trying to go by. Joshua Buckley severely getting held up. Oh, Buckley heavy into the outside wall. He's going to go around, collects the 12. That's William Long, and that Max Terrio's also involved. Multiple drivers here. Again, the same portion of the racetrack, just a little bit further on. I don't think we're going to have one clean car left by the end of this race, because my goodness, Dover is a huge challenge already early on in this race. Heavy into the wall off of turn number 2. I think he got tagged by the number 12. And Terrio barely avoids it. Someone's in the outside wall over there. I believe it's a 984 that made contact as well. Christopher Rothrock, and it is. The 4 of Souza is also involved. So I believe that's another, 4 drivers that's involved. Everyone's already had to pit road early on. And I am not surprised. So Kyle Souza is the only one that's decided to stay out for the time being. He's already pitted twice even. His last stop was only 4.4 seconds. Meanwhile, off pit road, going to be the 184 that he's a lap down, unfortunately. That's Kevin O'Brien, 6 laps down. So we're going to see who comes off pit road first here in a few moments. All 4 tires for what seems to be all drivers. Sean Butler, Tim Blum, DJ Anderson, Max Terrio, Leo Bordage here, top 5 off of pit road. Kyle Souza may be making the move to pit road here in a few moments. Either way, as we're under caution, yep, there goes Souza to the pit road. That's going to hand the lead back over to Sean Butler. As we are under caution for the time being, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. And unfortunately, well, Dover being Dover, it is very unforgiving early on. Let's see if the lights choose to go out this time around. Nothing yet. 2 more laps of caution. So we are going to take a very quick break. This is the Red Light Scrambler series here at Dover in the Xfinity cars.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we are back. Just have to do a quick camera editing for a few moments. But aside from that, we are back once again here at Dover. Second caution, unfortunately. And, well, early on, like mentioned just before that quick break we had, this is very unforgiving. And I can't really speak from personal experience because I have not raced here lately, at least. So I can definitely say that we'll see if we could maybe get a word in with a few drivers here in the next caution. Depends on when the next caution is, at least. And we'll see if any drivers that are listening, at least to the broadcast, more than welcome to wait over in the TeamSpeak. And we could probably drag you in here for a few moments, and that's only if you're open to it, at least, and explain how your race is going. Other than that, green flag is back out. Tim Blum, very, very early on. He's got the advantage hanging down in turns 1 and 2 on the top side, but unfortunately, Sean Butler with the inside has way more of an advantage and the preferred line as well. And Tim Blum just caught the wall just entering turn number 3. This wall is very, very deadly here. Max Terrio trying to get around on the top side of DJ Anderson. Look at this gap already, though, between second and third. It's almost a second. It's practically a 1 second difference between a second and third. Max Terrio dives to the bottom, can't make it work for the time being. Side-by-side battle for the 8th place position. Low side is Richard Murdoch on the 01. Top side, the 98 is Ryan Oldany, or Oldani, I should say. There's pronunciation again. Brendan Minto in 9th. He's trying to look ahead for that 8th place position that Oldani is in right now. Oh, someone's in the wall of turn number 2. That is Kyle Souza. Really scraped the right-hand side off of turn 2 there in the background. And going by the interval, closest battle on track is apparently between the Max Terrio and the number 42 and the 51 of TJ Anderson. That's just by interval distance, which is 0.2 seconds. Leah Borders is even closer. Just a little bit of game, it's just a game of momentum at this rate, and as well as survival here. Because that wall for turn 2 will really get you. You can see DJ Anderson, he had to slide out of the way just a little bit off turn number 2. More than likely had to let out of the throttle. Let's ride along with Max Terrio for the gyro cam here. See how it's like around Dover. You can see how bumpy it is as well. Not too much banking, but there's enough to really just loosen up your car off of turn number 2. Meanwhile, the gap between Sean Butler and Tim Blum has increased to about 0.5 seconds. Eric Johnson having some trouble. He's going to pull over to pit road. He will not. He must have spun. We'll see what happened to him. over in turns 3 and 4, since it's calmed down just a little bit. Replay up on the screen right now, and oh man, the 7. Oh man, Bordage got into the wall. That sent the 33 into the grass. Luckily not into the wall, but that was a little bit of net code right there. So definitely not 100% at fault of that number 7 of Bordage. Lap traffic starting to play into effect here. All 18 drivers are relatively on the racetrack for the time being. Not really racing on the racetrack, but they are still within their cars. Jack Ritchie being one of them with 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes of damage even. And he's still running. And yes, this is iRacing, to answer somebody in the YouTube chat. This is iRacing indeed. And last time I checked for new members, which was about 2 days ago, as far as I know, memberships are at least 50% off for new subscribers. I'm not paid to say that, I'm just mentioning that. Meanwhile, Max Terrio's gotten around DJ Anderson. It's finally set his sights on Tim Blum in second place. Meanwhile, a battle in progress for 10th place is on the top side, as at least, well, not for the time being, because that's going to be for 11th. As Eric Johnson is trying to get around Tony Serrano for 11th, as Kyle Souza's already made his way around. 954 of Conklin down to the inside of Brendan Minto, slides up ever so slightly, but luckily nothing too bad. 75 laps to go this time by. This battle is for 8th place on the racetrack as well, for position. As any driver 14th on back is going to be a lap down. And well, look at that slide from 954. He tried to save it, and he did, but he lost all that momentum in the process. That means Kyle Souza may be setting his sights on the 954 in a few moments. Pretty much have a little bit of a single file line all the way from 6th to what appears to be through 12th. At least 6th through 11th for sure. That's Leo Bordage, Ryan O'Donnell, Brandon Minto, Alec Conklin, Kyle Souza, Eric Johnson, and sliding off the corner was that number 7. Top side is going to be Ryan O'Donnell for 6th place. Pit stops will be a factor here. It's a great camera angle. We'll see if anyone catches the wall. Conklin finally made his way by Brendan Minto. That's going to be making his way on the outside around Leo Bordage, who's decided rightfully to back off and just stay on the inside lane. Minto as well. A little bit of contact, I believe, off of turn number 2. Or he just got a little bit loose, I'm not sure. But that number 7 is dropping back very, very quickly. This last pit stop, not sure what his last pit stop was exactly, but it was 21 laps to go. So about lap 9. So he's not the only one that spent a majority of the field on 21 laps worth of tires. Soon to be 22 laps at the start-finish line, but look at this. Souza on the low side. Eric Johnson, the 33, 2-1T of Brandon Minto. This could be a little bit of a 3-wide situation here in a few moments. But possibly not. Oh man, almost off the wall there was Minto. I think Johnson just used the bumper as well. I'm not sure, but we'll definitely take an onboard look here for his lap. You can see the heavy damage to the right rear quarter panel, the number 20, pretty much crushed in. And that's why he's falling back. There's not a lot of aero for him to really deal with. I heard the 20. I don't know about you viewers at home, but I heard the 20 back off heavily off the fuel. Or off the gas, I should say, not the fuel. So, for the time being, and for, I believe, the huge majority of the race, definitely for the majority of the race, Sean Butler has led 31 of 34 laps. Very, very impressive momentum so far. He did, again, qualify on the pole at Charlotte last week, but this last week it came away with Max Terrio as the winner. He's not looking too far behind. He's looking not too far behind, I should say, as he's in third. He's just been sitting there for a few laps. He's that 42 is already locked into them for the most part. He's already locked into the playoffs. And that first race is actually going to be the first race of the playoffs. Will be taking place at Talladega in the trucks, and then Richmond in the Cup cars the very next week. And it's this way, this series is called the Scrambler series, racing pretty much anything NASCAR related. So we raced Cup last week. This week it's Xfinity. I believe next week will be the trucks. And racing K&Ns at least once over at Stafford. I know that for a fact. So yeah, this series is definitely trying to throw a little bit of a mix instead of just a standard one car per race. Possibly a fuel stop coming up here in a few moments. It just depends on how long these drivers can survive and keep their cars alive for. Because Sean Butler has been saving all along under caution. Personally, I've done that in a few races as well. First few cautions, I just saved as much as I could. There's the a bit of a cloud cover as well here. Turns 1 and 2. Back straightaway, not so much. It's getting there. If that cloud cover stays, this could really throw a little bit of an effect into the race. As these tires get a chance to slightly cool down, even by a degree or so. And that cloud cover is very visual here from this camera angle. 40 laps in, 60 laps to go next time around when we cross the start-finish line. Kind of broke the camera there for a few moments, but Richard Murdoch has gotten around Max Terrio, who's dropped down to 5th. He's actually in pit. I believe he's out of fuel even. I may be way incorrect on that. That's the right rear suspension camera there. Taking a look at the tire. Now he's still rolling. So Max Terrio is the first one to blink here and start his stint anew. Very slow pit road here, 35 miles an hour. Alec Conklin, the rookie, one of the few rookies here at this track. The 950, the numbers with the 900, or the 9 in front of them, represents that they're rookie. So essentially the 954, the 984, 972, 981, and the 903 are all rookies in this race. Unfortunately, Conklin possibly with the worst damage. Aside from Patrick Orr, he's just been singing his pit stall for a very long time. Not sure what happened to him. But aside from that, though, main leaders. Well, there's number 7 of Leo Bordage. He's in pit road. So that's 3 drivers now. Terrio, Conklin, and Bordage. As the 954 leaves pit road, the number 7 will slide into his pit stall. Not saving under caution, they have done that 88 some good. But maybe not good enough because Tim Blum is slightly closer gap now. They've been pretty much separated by about 0.2 or 0.3 seconds, even at max about a second earlier on in this race before a caution. But right now, Tim Blum is on the back bumper as much as he can be for the time being, and well, right now he's not doing bad. He's trying to stick with that number 88. He may be a little bit faster. Well, we'll see what the comparison is in terms of lap times here across the start-finish line. 88 with the 24.961, 24.906 for Tim Blum. It's about 0.6 seconds faster. I remember the main laps and the laps that we've been seeing in qualifying was about 23.5. That's set by Sean Butler. Well, the overcast has officially set in on this race. Cloud cover, I should say, not exactly overcast. Looks like overcast. Another driver in pit road, Brandon Minto on the number 20. His second pit stop. "40 laps have been run by the entire top 6. Tim Blum has not left that back bumper of Sean Butler. Trying to apply as much pressure as possible. And at the moment it's working. And you can see how close Tim Blum gets, and then he just fades back, unfortunately. The corner exit may be in favor of the 88. Maybe not this time around, because Tim Blum peeks down to the inside for the lead. In turns 1 and 2 will slide up ever so slightly. We'll keep it on the inside. Side by side turn number 2. A little bit of space given by both drivers. Blum is not leaving that quarter panel. So Sean Butler's going to have to fight to stay in front. He does. 49 laps to go as we've already crossed halfway. So Tim Blum was the first one to make a move to the inside. He couldn't get it done. He's trying his best though. Both drivers have fallen to about the 25.0 lap time range. 25.2 set by Richard Murdoch, who is in third. So the driver directly behind Tim Blum right here is not on the lead lap. It's actually the 954 Alec Conklin. He's going to run the top side. He's running a 24.199, so essentially 24.2. He's on increasingly about 35 lap fresher tires. This is going to mess up Tim Blum's run. I think Tim Blum just decided to let him go through anyway. Old-fashioned way of getting the lap back is completed. So now, at 954 is only 1 lap down here. And by the time, if we do get a caution, I shouldn't have said that, and that's going to be a commentator's curse, but in the event we do get a caution, only 4 drivers could pit on that lap. That's Sean Butler, Tim Blum, DJ Anderson, and Kyle Souza. That's all because they haven't pitted. No, DJ Anderson's went to pit road. So now it's going to be only 3 cars if this stretches out for a while. My goodness, this is a great run that we've had. Now it's great. Sean Butler's 53 laps led, so officially he's led the most laps in this race, and no one else is really going to say otherwise. Sean Butler blinks first. He has to pit road. Tim Blum will follow suit. Kyle Souza pits on the same lap. Well, not exactly the same lap, but he pits at the same time. So since Kyle Souza is in pit road, Max Terrio is back on the lead lap. He'll be scored on the lead lap, actually. He was a lot down at the time. So Terrio is now in third. These two are still following each other down this long and very slow pit road. Tim Blum is going to be the first to his pit stall. Gonna see who will... Oh, perfect stop by both of those drivers. No one had to move. Tires up first on number 10. Max Terrio takes the lead once again. Just going to get off a pit road with the advantage, though. Tim Blum down and away. Same with Sean Butler. And it looks like Sean Butler will get the advantage exiting the pit road. And that blue line and blue cone that you saw, all drivers had to stay below that line up until exiting. It's it's iRacing's way of saying you stay below this apron until you cross this line, and then you can merge onto the racing surface. So Max Terrio is in first, second place Richard Murdoch, third Alec Conklin with damage, by the way, after pitting 4 times to repair it. He's fallen off the pace ever so slightly, but then again, Sean Butler and Tim Blum, they'll send him back to 5th place. Everyone is on a completely different strategy here. Terrio is 18 laps in. I believe we saw somebody slide down. That was a lap car getting out of the way. And that's the 984 of Christopher Rothrock, and it is. So Max Terrio is running 19 laps on his tires. Richard Murdoch, 5 laps on his. He's about to come to 6 laps. Sean Butler and Tim Blum, 2 laps on their tires. Alec Conklin coming to 18 laps on his tires. They're on the lead lap as well. Same with Leo Bordage and Eric Johnson, 17 and 8 laps on their tires respectively. So as we are on 40 laps to go, we are going to take a quick little break, and we'll come back and in a few laps time, just to rest our voice just a little bit, rest my voice a little bit. But until then, this is the Red Light Scrambler series here at Dover in the Xfinity cars, where Max Terrio has, for now, regained control of the lead and the race for the time being. Can he win 2 weeks in a row and make a statement to Sean Butler? And we are back live here. Max Terrio has decided to relinquish the lead and go to pit road just as we come back. My goodness, my voice is dead. That's why you heard that high-pitched because my voice is gone at this point. But aside from that, Richard Murdoch back in the lead. But aside from that, the L1 finally getting some laps of lead. I believe the first time in this series as well, and it is because last week he had a little bit of bad luck at Charlotte. And speaking of bad luck, he's going to have a little bit of that in a few laps' time because Sean Butler is slowly creeping back into the picture. But he's not that far back though. Well, he is far back. He's about 1.6 seconds back, so that number 88 is on a charge right now. Tim Blum still, again, not far behind. And he's going to have to try and navigate through some lap traffic. Middle 3 wide it is. And if I don't know if I should or not, but if we do get a mid-race interview, that'd be quite interesting. But I'm pretty sure that is a terrible idea. So I will refrain from doing that for the time being until I get some driver input on that from the drivers in the series. I'm tempted to do that because that'd be a lot more exciting than having it done under caution, but not want to really distract anybody, so we'll wait. And we'll see if we can get someone interviewed. If not, well, we'll just wait till after the race for the top 3. Sean Butler navigating lap traffic in the meantime. And just like that, lap traffic is not gone, actually. Because to the inside, that 98 of Ryan O'Donoghue, he is making a charge. He is 3 laps down, but he is trying to do whatever he can somehow get back on the lead lap. But in the meantime, that's not going to work out. And well, Richard Murdoch, well, he just has a few issues. And just in the background, Sean Butler got the wall off turn number 2. Both of these drivers have about a 3-lap difference in their tires. 3 laps more, well now 4 laps, well no, still 3 laps actually. 3 laps more used on their tires is Richard Murdoch. Sean Butler, 3 laps less. Same with Tim Blum, he's also 3 laps less than Richard Murdoch. 24 laps on his tires is Richard Murdoch. Sean Butler, Tim Blum, 21 laps on their tires. DJ Anderson, 23 laps. Kyle Souza, 22 laps, I believe, this time by. And it is. Well, Sean Butler has made his way through the field, the lap traffic, I should say. It's got Richard Murdoch in his sight. I said Sean Butler. No, I did say Sean Butler. I thought I said Richard Murdoch has made his way through the field, but either way. Sean Butler came close to winning last week. He had Max Terrio ruin that ever so slightly. Well, on the bright side for Sean Butler, Terrio is 1 lap down and in 6th place. 1 lap down in 5th place is Kyle Souza. So only 4 drivers on the lead lap. DJ Anderson in 4th. 3rd is Tim Blum. 2nd, Sean Butler. 1st place, Richard Murdoch. And he's having that 88 close down on him very, very quickly. 0.3 seconds between these two drivers. Richard Murdoch led 13 laps so far. He's going to be leading his 14th lap this time by, but in the meantime, though, he's going to have to worry about Sean Butler. And remember what I said earlier about the cloud cover playing in effect. Well, it kind of has in a sense. It's definitely cooled down the racetrack occasionally throughout this race, and by the time this race ends, it's probably going to be a little bit cooler than when it started, of course. Sean Butler chasing down Richard Murdoch. He's caught up to him at this point, but he's got 15 laps to make the move for the win, so he's better off, at least in my opinion, just laying back. But then again, if you did catch up to somebody, I'd say go ahead and just go right past him when you can. So far, Sean Butler has stayed behind Richard Murdoch for the time being. About a tenth of a second slower is going to be that number 88, who we see right now, behind our leader in the number 01. Tim Blum, well, he's about 0.9 seconds back from Sean Butler. So I don't think there's really anything that Tim Blum could do. He was at 0.7 seconds. Actually, no, he's still at 0.7 seconds. That's the gap to the leader, actually, so apologies for that. So 0.6 seconds to Sean Butler's Tim Blum. And speaking of Sean Butler, he's trying to get around, but it's not going to work out. There's the gap from Sean Butler to Tim Blum. The sun is slowly starting to peek its way back out. And finally down to the inside is going to be Sean Butler for the lead with 12 laps to go, 11 at the line this time around. Murdoch lets him through on the top side. And almost scrapes the wall definitely off the corner. Saw all those sparks. And there's Max Terrio, but although unfortunately he's one lap down, so this isn't going to do much for him, but he will be back on the lead lap if a caution comes out. Considering the 7-car or so wreck that we had at the beginning of this race, that really ruined, for sure, about 4 drivers' days. It's not really going to do much for the time being. So the 42 of Terrio, he will get back on the lead lap this time around. Sean Butler lets him through. Tim Blum trying to find his own way around the L1 of Murdoch. He gets to the inside. And he'll try to catch up back up to the 88, but at this rate it may be too late. He did catch up earlier on, but he only stuck with him, didn't really have any faster pace. This time by 7 laps to go. And 0.7 seconds separates Sean Butler from Tim Blum. about the same as well. There's the 10th added on the corner exit of turn number 4. So it looks like Tim Blum may be better at corner entry, but Sean Butler's better at corner exit. 5 laps to go this time by. And I don't think Tim Blum could really do anything at this point. And speaking of which, we're pretty much at the point of no return, which is when a caution comes out, the race is definitively over. I've pretty much reached that point right about now as well. Four laps to go for the number 88. And there's really nothing much I could stop him at this point. And Richard Murdoch has decided to head to pit road. Unfortunately, I don't think he could have made it on fuel. DJ Anderson at this point could be the one to finish in the top 3. He just has to save for these final 3 laps. Xterrio as well. He's up to 4th now because of Richard Murdoch heading to pit road. Two laps to go this time around. And the gap is close to at least 0.4 seconds. But at this point, it might be a bit too late. Final lap this time around. White flag is out for Sean Butler. He qualified on the pole last week. And unfortunately finished 2nd to Max Terrio. He qualified on the pole this week, and whoa, lap car diving out of the way. Finally, redemption for Sean Butler after qualifying on the pole 2 weeks in a row. Sean Butler advances to the playoffs here at Dover as he wins this 100-lap event. Second place is Tim Blum. Third place, DJ Anderson. We'll see if we can get a word with them after this. Gonna wait for that red to start flashing again until everything is unofficially finished. There it is. So that means, well, unfortunately our top 10 is not properly showing up. So we will get that fixed in a few moments. Congratulations to that 88 of Sean Butler for his win here this week. Finally getting redemption. And looks like we can probably get our results showing up one more time. There we go. Sean Butler is the winner here at Dover after 2 cautions early on in this race. Tim Blum finishes in 2nd. 3rd place is DJ Anderson. All of them that started, finished where they had started as well, so that's very impressive by all of these drivers. Max Terrio, the last driver to finish on the lead lap in 4th place. And luckily, majority of the field was only a lap down, a lap or more down, due to the long green flag run that we had. Kyle Souza rounds out the top 5, which means Richard Murdoch, Eric Johnson, Alec Conklin, Leo Bordage, and Brandon Minto are 6th through 10th. Brian Oldani, Tony Strano, William Long, Christopher Rothrock, Kevin O'Brien, Joshua Buckley, Patrick Orr, Jack Ritchie, and James Heater, who unfortunately did not start this race, are your 11th through 19th place drivers. And we'll start the post-race interviews here right away, if possible. Start with the 51 of DJ Anderson. We'll see if he's available. DJ Anderson, do you have us?
I gotcha.
Just adjusting something over here on OBS. There we go. Aside from that, you did a great job here at starting third and finishing third as well throughout this race, and a couple cautions earlier on in this race. But you managed to come through with the pit strategy as well, and you managed to somehow stay in the top three after starting there as well. So that was very impressive. Walk us through this race in general.
I think my teammate Sean Butler and I kind of, after those first two cautions, we kind of had in our mind that we were going to do a one stop. So we knew where we had to go to make it to the end on just one stop. And I'm okay at this track, but I kind of figured if we kind of stuck that strategy, just ran smooth, didn't hit the wall or anything, I should have been able to get a top five. And there at the end, I call Max was catching me there, so I kind of started pushing and ended up being about half a lap short, but still managed to coast in front of him. So it was a good night, and seeing Sean get the win, maybe next week we can get one.
And hopefully next week you will come away victorious with a win, especially after this top three puts you a very good position in the points, I believe, as well. So again, congratulations on that. Heading into next week, as I am double checking that right now, not that button actually, but next week in the truck series, in the truck vehicles, I should say, we're headed to Lime Rock Park. So any thoughts for that road course where the trucks have never been to?
I did kind of forget next weekend was the road course. I'm not very good at road course racing, so next week for me will just be survival. I think if I can finish the race and finish top 10, I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's definitely a great idea. I forgot I had my microphone muted on OBS somehow. That's weird, but aside from that, yeah, as long as you finish and survive the race like you did this week, you'll pretty much be good for that. So before we let you go, anyone you got to give a shout out to for your top three finish?
Red light, I enjoy racing with these guys, and then of course you guys for doing the broadcast. I enjoy coming back and watching it. I'm looking forward to the chase. I think if I can make the chase, I'll be in a good position to maybe win the championship. But I'll be looking forward to next week, and hopefully I can surprise people and get a top three.
Hopefully, you will be able to go away with a second top three in a row. So we hope to see you in the same position next week, maybe a couple positions higher as well. But until then, congratulations on your top three finish here this week.
Thanks again. Take care.
So that was TJ Anderson finishing third place in his Cold Circle inspired machine. Next up is hopefully the number 10 of Tim Blum in second. And just a few moments as everything being just a little bit set up for his interview. Not sure what's going on with that, but aside from that, we'll get Tim Blum in here. Tim Blum, do you have us?
Yeah, how we doing?
I am doing great, and apparently not as great as you, since you actually managed to come away with the win here for not the win. Sorry, I am very distracted. I'm trying to get the OBS or the overlay thing to actually play this. But aside from that, though, you came away with a second place finish, and definitely a great finish overall, especially here at Dover, where this race was not exactly cautioned, though it seemed like it though with the first two cautions, because my goodness, that turn two and turn two exit all the way through turn four is just unforgiving.
Yeah, it was the few restarts that we did have. I was on the outside, and there were a few close calls for me, and I could tell that when the cautions came out, there were cars scrambling on the backstretch, so someone wasn't as lucky.
Yeah, so definitely not lucky whatsoever. So walk us through at least your race in general, because my goodness, you have done an amazing job keeping up with your strategy, as well as somehow managing to finish in second as well, right where you started. So that was pretty, in my opinion, that was very, very lucky of you.
Yeah, I feel like I took to Dover pretty well. Usually finish pretty well here. I guess I have the line figured out, and tried to save tires. And I really was just following Sean. Whatever move he made, I would try to do. I could tell he would save sometimes, and I'd back off a little bit and tried to make a run at him at the end. Just ran out of laps.
Yeah, you did try to make a run a couple of times, and like you mentioned, ran out of laps, but luckily did manage to come away with a second place finish, so it's not too bad. So heading into next week with the trucks at Lime Rock, what are your thoughts for that race?
Oh, I'm real excited about that. Lime Rock is a cool track, and to put trucks on it is it's going to be a blast. Coming up that hill, getting some air and trying to pass guys, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the interesting race, especially with not really an unfamiliar place, but for the most part, an unfamiliar place where trucks haven't really been. So, of course, that is going to be, again, it's quite interesting and quite entertaining as I accidentally hit my microphone. But aside from that, though, as before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your second place finish?
Yeah, like to thank. It looks like my dad's watching. I think my sister's watching. Like to thank them at home. Love them. Shout out to Glenn Wood. Um, wanna recognize him. So yeah, we'll move on to next week.
And we hope to see you in the same position again for next week. So we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations on your second place finish here this week.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
And finally, last but not least, up next is the race winner, Sean Butler. In just a few moments' time, he finally got some redemption after last week, after getting shuffled out and passed by Max Terrio. And we'll definitely bring this up with him. He's probably not going to like it, but we'll bring it up with him anyways. Because he deserves to know that he's definitely overcome something absolutely impressive. So we will get Sean Butler in here in a few moments. Sean Butler, do you have us?
Hey, Gary, I got you.
Well, you finally overcame adversity this week, qualified on the pole again for the second week in a row. And this time you had finally overcame Max Terrio in terms of strategy and walked over itself. My goodness, how is that feeling for you to finally, get some type of redemption, even though we're only the second race into the season?
Yeah, it was. Being out on the pole and just running out front again all night. Uh, it's crazy. At the end of that first run, that long run, and I had Tim right on my bumper. I was like, I had this deja vu feeling. I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna get past at the end for the pass and lose the race again. But I was able to get some distance on Tim on after that pit and was able to hold it. I mean, he was just a little bit faster than me on a long run, but I was able to hold off tonight, and just glad that we had a nice long run to finish it out. It's always fun to go long runs and see what everyone can do. Usually does this, like you get a little bit of strategy, especially when we're pretty close on fuel. I was sputtering on pit road on that first pit stop, and then I ran out doing my burnout.
It's better to run out of fuel on your burnout instead of actually, pretty much anywhere else in the race.
Yes, it was definitely the best time to do it.
Yeah, definitely couldn't have timed it a lot better, especially with that amazing strategy. So, of course, throughout that race, with the first two cautions at the beginning, though, I mean, off of turn number 2, I'm not saying pretty much anything on your car, actually. So you did do wonderfully lucky with this race, especially with keeping a clean car and relatively pretty much surviving off of turn number 2 and turn number 4 as well. Few close calls at some points, but again, it was quite interesting.
Yeah, it actually drove a little different than it's used to here at Dover. This setup was actually tighter off of 2 than it was off of 4. Usually 4 is a little tighter, but for some reason it was turning better down in 3 and 4 than it was down in 1 and 2. And it's the best line to get around here is kind of enter on both corners, just about a half a lane up. That way you can turn down and get a little bit straighter runs off the corners, and that helps that tight situation so you can keep it in the throttle. Because if you don't arc it just right, you have to kind of get out of that throttle, or else you'll just slam out into that wall. So
And there definitely is that as well. So luckily you did manage to survive Dover, and of course, hang into next week, we take the trucks over to Lime Rock Park, so that's going to be quite interesting. Trucks, as far as I know, have definitely never been there. What are your thoughts heading into that race for next week?
I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm not like a great road course racer, but I know that track good enough, and it'd be interesting to see. There's that one kind of an uphill on the back there, and if you go full throttle on like road course cars and stuff, it'll really upset that car up over that hump at the top of the hill, and if be interesting to see if it does the same thing with the truck. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, if I come out of there with the top 5, that'd be great. Just keep up the momentum and hopefully just ride this all the way down to the championship 4.
Yeah, if you can come out there with the top 5, that would be impressive in its own right as well. So of course, before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to win this?
I'd like to give a shout out to DJ for coming in third. He's my teammate, and he kind of let me know what we could get for free mileage. He had ran something last night with the practice, and so I knew I could probably make it after that second caution, and so I just want to thank him for the fuel strategy. It paid off for him too.
Well, it was a pleasure to talk with you this time in the first place position instead of second as compared to last week. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how you and pretty much everyone else does for next week. So we are going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again on your win here at Dover.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate you doing the broadcast.
No, it's fun to broadcast as well. Oh, actually, pushed on after the last second. But either way, though, that is pretty much that. Sean Butler, your winner for this week, finally overcoming Max Stereo. So, of course, before we sign off, a little bit of a reminder on upcoming broadcasts. It's going to be the My Turn Racing Truck Series at 3:55 p.m. Eastern Time. They take to Lucas Oil Raceway in their truck cars, or truck series, I should say, truck vehicles. And then, as mentioned, the Red Light Scrambler Series heads to Lime Rock Park, where things are going to be quite interesting in their own right. So we are going to go ahead and sign off. Congratulations once again to Sean Butler on his win here at Dover, and we hope to see you on Sunday. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.